In the book of Mark, chapter 5, verses 25 to 30, a story is told of a woman who, for 12 years, struggled with an issue that during her time was considered to be an embarrassing issue. It was considered to be an issue that would have you ostracized, pushed away, looked down upon during her time. And this lady, let us call her Fiona. Fiona woke up every day of her life for 12 years, suffering a problem where many people, when they looked at her, wanted nothing to do with her. And based on the customs of that day of the Jewish people, this lady would have had a decline in her social status. This lady would have had, a decline in the number of friends that she had. She would have had a decline in the number of people whom wanted to associate with her. And for 12 years, she walked around in this problem where when many people looked at her, they saw a desperate person. They saw someone whom they needed to stay away from. They saw someone whom in their eyes, in their perspective, their perception just told them that this is someone whom we do not need to create any kind of association with. This is someone whom, even according to our culture and our customs, we need to be staying away from. And for 12 years, this lady woke up. And when everybody else around her, Fiona, despite her situation, for these 12 years, she sought to get out of her mess. She sought to get a healing out of the situation that she was in. And for 12 years, she kept bleeding. And for 12 years, Fiona did not look at her situation and see the hopelessness that anybody else would have seen. She did not see the culture that dictated to her what kind of a life that she was supposed to live, or what kind of a life that she was supposed to have based on her current circumstances. What makes me, think and ponder greatly upon the life of Fiona, this lady in the book of Mark chapter 5. And just to, clarify, her name was not really Fiona. I'm just calling her Fiona so that we can associate with her, so that we can be able to see her at a personal level. The Bible does not give her a name. The Bible does not go ahead and go into her personal details. But I'm trying to look at the life of Fiona. For 12 years, been going through this situation, I would imagine that even if she had a husband at that time, the husband maybe had stepped away, separated away from her, not wanted to be next to her. The customs and the traditions of her people at that time, they were so strict that her bleeding for 12 years meant that at one point or another, she had to hide her situation from the world. For if the world knew her situation, then they would have had to, they would have viewed her as an outcast, someone who was unclean. I want you to understand that. And if she was not able to hide her situation, then her situation spoke to people before she could speak to them. They would have viewed her out of the lens of her situation, out of the lens of her circumstance. But for 12 years, the Bible in the book of Mark chapter 5, verses 25 to 30 tells us that this lady spent all her wealth seeking healing, seeking remedies from doctors during her time. And every chance she had, every moment that she woke up, She was thinking about how to get healed. The Bible goes ahead to describe her situation and say to us that she spent all that she had in the aim of trying to get healing, in the aim of trying to get a relief from the situation that she was going through. I can see Fiona going to different medical doctors, different physicians during her time. During her time, it was different. It was not a formal setup where you book appointments, where you have to go into a physician's office. Back then, it was more rudimentary. And I can see Fiona walking into the physician's house and trying to explain what the situation was. And I can see them asking her, before I can even try to help you, I need you to pay something for me to be able to get this kind of a herb. I need you to, present me with either an exchange of maybe a goat or whatever for me to be able to get you a certain kind of remedy. I can see Fiona spending her wealth, spending her earned income during that time when it was even difficult for women to get jobs, when they were just seen as people who should be in the houses doing domestic work. I can see Fiona going through a certain kind of a lifestyle that I would probably not be comfortable with. She spent all that she had trying to get healing. At the point where we encounter Fiona in Mark chapter 5, the Bible tells us that after all this, she heard of a man named Jesus. And she heard that this man would heal her, that this man had been healing other people, that this man would be able to grant her relief from the situation, from her situation, her illness that she had been suffering from for 12 years. I would like us to pay attention to the lifestyle that Fiona lived, that this woman lived for 12 years. For 12 years, she did not just sit down and just think that this is it. Fiona, and the reason why I'm talking about her today is because she lived a hopeful life. She sought remedy because she knew that one day she could encounter someone, she could encounter a physician who would actually take her iniquities away, take her illness away. That's the kind of lifestyle that Fiona lived. She spent all that she had because in her, she believed that whatever she was going through had an end. She believed that I'm going through so much, but there is an end to my suffering. There is an end to my illness. And she spent all her wealth because she figured in her heart, in her soul, she figured, I just have not encountered the right physician who can actually give me the cure to my situation. But in her, and the reason why she spent all her wealth is because in her she knew that there was an end to what she was going through. That's the most beautiful thing about this story. Encountering Jesus, she did not just encounter Jesus by accident. She was purposeful. She was deliberate. She went to him deliberately. If only I can touch the hem of his garment, then I will receive that which I have been desiring for 12 years. And she was not just desiring it. She was also working towards it. She was spending her time, her money, her wealth towards this one goal of receiving her healing. Why is this important? When I look at the story of this lady, whom we are calling Fiona, so that we can just have that personal touch with her. She had something in her that many people nowadays are lacking. And that is what I call hope. Fiona had hope. She viewed her future from the lens of one day, this too shall come to an end. When Fiona thought about her tomorrow, she could see herself not going through the same circumstance that she was in at that present moment. She could tell in herself, one day this too shall end. She was hopeful that her situation, her circumstance was going to have an ending to it. Fiona maintained hope. And basically that's just what I want to talk about. Hope. Hope is just looking at, this is my current circumstance. But at the end of all this, hope is looking into the future. Looking into the future and seeing a better situation. That is what I would term hope to be. Being able to see a different, not just a different future, but a better future than what you have right now. And why am I talking about hope? In the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 13, Paul looked at the people of Corinth and he determined that the one thing that was ailing the people of Corinth was not the things that we could see with our eyes, was not the things that we could, it was not physical poverty, it was not the lack of money, it was not physical illness, it was not difficult families or difficult relationships. Paul, when he looked at the people of Corinth, he saw that what was disturbing them was not that they did not have good preachers, was not that they did not have prophets in their midst. He told them that the things that are bothering us as a people is the things that are on the inside. And one of these things, in 1 Corinthians 13, he tells them that when everything else comes to an end, there's three things that are going to stand. And that is love, faith, and hope. And we talk about love all the time. We talk about faith all the time. But we forget about hope. And I would like to submit to us at this particular moment that the one thing that we are suffering from and that is causing so much havoc in our lives is the lack of hope. Hopelessness in itself is one of the most dangerous things that people are going through in the world right now. That when people look down into their futures, they do not see any positive outcome. If you can't see a positive outcome down the line, I assure you it's very hard to live your current life right now in any meaningful way. And I was thinking about this, and allow me to say this. Hopelessness and hopeless people live dangerously, and they are dangerous to have around. And what do I mean by that? Hopeless people, or people who do not see any positive outcome down at the end of whatever they are going through at the current moment. They do not try to live their lives in a meaningful way. They are not living their lives trying to figure out how do we improve the situation. Hopeless people live on a survival mode where they want to do everything now so that they can survive now. When you talk about the human life, the human experience, we do everything that we do in the aim of being able to thrive down the line. You are born, and every step that people, your parents around you, the society around you tries to put you through situations that will help you thrive down the line in your life. But a hopeless person lacks that aspect where they want to thrive. And rather they look at every situation in a manner of, I would like to survive, or I would like whatever I'm going through to end. When you look at the world around us, cases of suicide have tremendously increased. Cases where people are committing acts, heinous acts, where people are murdering each other, where people are stealing from each other. And I look at everything from this aspect. If I am hopeless about what I'm going through, and I feel like what I'm going through right now is the end of it. There's this young man in Kenya, and his story went viral, and he's suffering from leukemia, I believe, or is it no, sorry, sickle cell anemia, and he had gotten to the point where, because of the pain, he had lost all hope of it ever getting better. He had lost all hope of his life ever having meaning. And he's in Kenya, and he was considering physician-assisted suicide in Belgium. This is a recent story, still ongoing. And, I thank God that now the situation has changed. And he had worked tirelessly, trying to figure out, how do I end my life? Because if this pain is all I'm going to have for the rest of my life, then I do not want to continue living. That's a hopeless situation. And this is someone who's deciding, my life is not worth anything, because when I look at my tomorrow, I can still see suffering. That's a hopeless situation. But I thank God, because when his story went viral, this is what I mean about, hopelessness is very dangerous. And having hope changes everything. Having hope is the one thing that we actually need. We are preaching all these things. We are motivating people with all these aspects. But hope is the one thing we are neglecting, which is actually a very vital part. And I believe that's why Paul mentioned it, of the three things that will last beyond everything. When his story went viral, people started reaching out to him with messages of encouragement. He already knows that the sickness he has is not going to leave him. He already knows that his situation, he's gone through countless hospital visits, countless medications, and he had given up on everything. And now he's searching for physician-assisted suicide. But his story goes viral, and people reach out to him with messages of encouragement. And everything changes. I watched his second interview, and you could tell there was a difference. You could tell even the mood around him was different. And not because of anything else, but now he had hope. He had hope that his life held a deeper meaning than just the pain that he was going through. This is the beautiful thing. If we actually start realizing that the things we go through on the inside, you can't go around killing people's hope. You can't go around killing your own hope. We have to encourage each other in a way to uplift each other. This young man right now is he's dedicating his life into helping children so that they may have a better life. He's doing things that he could not have imagined doing. Not because he has been healed, not because the sickle cell anemia has left his body, but now because his outlook of the future ahead of him is a different perspective. He can see that there is meaning to his life. There is meaning to his existence. He's organizing with the Ministry of Education in Kenya on how to actually help children go abroad and study. Can you see what has changed? His circumstances did not change that much. But people started reaching out to him. People started comforting him. He had made a decision in a hopeless situation. But now, because hope has been introduced, where people are telling him, you are worth more than what you're going through. You can actually achieve more than what you're going through. He had doctors reaching out to him, telling him, give us a chance. And that is what the lady in the Bible, Fiona, that we were discussing about, that is the one thing that kept her going, was, I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to give it just one more chance, because I think if I can try it one more time, then maybe I'm going to get better. Then maybe this situation is going to end. And how you meet Jesus, it has to be, this lady was deliberate. She went to Jesus saying, I'm going to try him. I'm going to try him. And if only I can touch the hem of his garment. I'd like us to realize something. When you go to the book of Hebrews chapter 10, it talks about what is faith. And when I think about it, I would like to tell us this. And this is something I myself have had to learn in the course of the last couple months. Hope is a building block to faith. I don't think it's possible for you to have faith if you're not hopeful. I don't think it's possible. I actually believe that one of the cornerstones and the building blocks of faith has got to be hope. Hope helps you realize that things can get better. Hope is something that is preserved. It keeps you going for the future. Now, faith in itself helps you take action. Because if I'm hopeful that I can get better, then I'll start to have faith that there is things that I can do, right, that would actually make me better. I have faith that if I seek the Lord, my Creator, if I go to him and, in holiness and in purity and in righteousness, then I could actually experience the fullness of his joy in my life. Faith helps me take those steps. But there's no way I'm going to have faith if I don't have hope that if I do these things, my life will actually, have a certain outcome. So hope in itself is fundamental in everything that we do. How can I start a business? How do I have the faith to start a business and work on it day and night if I'm not hopeful that this business will become successful? How do you take steps of faith when you're not hopeful of a positive outcome? How do I even pursue to build a family if in my heart I am not hopeful that the family that I start is not going to be part of the statistics that end out in divorce in our current day and time, 50%? You have to be hopeful to take steps and actions of faith. And that's how I see it. But because our world is lacking hope, people are doing things that they will not otherwise do. Hope is the one thing that the devil is going to try and kill in your life. Because if I can destroy your hope, then I'll be able to steal your faith. And if I can steal your faith, then I can destroy your life. I can destroy your future. The word of God actually tells us that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that is precisely what it is. He comes to kill the hope in your heart, the hope that you have in your life, that you will ever amount to anything, that you will receive your healing, that your family is going to withstand time. He comes to, kill the hope in you that your kids will amount to anything. He comes to steal the hope in you that whatever you are investing in is actually going to work. And if he can kill your hope, then he can steal your faith. And without faith, then you cannot take any actions. Without faith, then why would I do the right thing? Without faith, then why do I pursue anything? And if you're not taking any actions towards bettering yourself, towards achieving the thing that you are hopeful about, then it's so easy to destroy your life. Don't allow the devil, and do not allow even yourself or the people around you to kill and destroy your hope. Let us learn to visualize our futures from a hopeful perspective. Not optimistically, but being hopeful that what we see is not the end. That there is something better out there for us. I'd like us to understand something. Hope allows us to take actions and to exercise our faith. And this is paramount for us to maintain a better outlook. And more, I'm tired of how we as Christians are all about words and zero actions. How all we do is to encourage one another but take zero actions. And it's about time. It's about time that we start doing things that will change this world for the better. Let me tell you something. People are doing things that will make you question humanity in itself. Question. And people are, and I keep thinking, we can do better than we are doing right now. I can do better than I'm doing right now. But I need to have hope that things will amount to a positive experience at the end of it. We have to be very careful that what we are taking in from the world, what we are taking in from the environment around us, what we are taking in from the people around us, does not drown our hope. We have to be extremely careful that we do not find ourselves stuck in a pit of negativity. Let us keep our hope alive. Fiona, the lady in Mark chapter 5, verse 25 to 30, she was hopeful that her experience would get better. She was hopeful that her life would change, and she pursued that. She actually spent all her wealth pursuing the thing that she knew, that she saw. There's this phrase that I've had been mentioned, and I personally use it all the time when I'm going through difficult circumstances, and I say to myself, and I say to the environment around me, this is not what I saw. Because I've seen something better. So when I'm feeling down, I tell myself, hey brother, this is not what I saw. The picture that I see for my life is one of a better outlook, is one where I can and I will thrive. Nothing shall take away my hope from myself. Nothing. Let us try to stand and try to visualize a better future for ourselves. People are suffering because of what is in them, not because of material things. People don't commit suicide because they are poor. We have so many poor people. But it's hopelessness that causes people to take out their own lives. Without hope, people are doing things that will actually cancel out the love they have for the person next to them. And every time I think about this thing, this question of hope, I'm left wondering, how do we actually get ourselves to be more hopeful? I'll tell you something. First and foremost, you have to put your hope in the right things. You know, if you focus on a future that is built on the wrong things, the things of this world will disappoint you. That's 100%. You put your hope in your own health, you get sick, you have issues that, are not coming to an end. I promise you, you will lose your hope. You put your hope in your wealth, in your money. How about when you lose all that? Then your hope is taken away. You put your hope in people. How about when these people disappoint you and leave you? Then your hope is taken away. I would like to encourage us to put our hope in the things that will outlast everything. And the only thing that I have found that would outlast everything is just purely the word of God. It's just purely the saving grace of Jesus Christ. I know that for sure will outlast everything. So I choose to put my focus and my hope that this too shall end, not because I am going to make it to end, but because the Lord God is watching out for me. He shall set his angels charge over me, that in every situation I go through, he will fight for me. I can do all things through Christ. That is the hope I would like to have, a hope that cannot be snatched away. Not hope that is built on my friends, not hope that is built on my family. Because even your family at one time will not be there for you. And not because they don't love you, but because life happens. Life happens. I found myself in the last couple of months asking myself, through situations, saying, if my dad was around, he passed away over a decade ago. And if I had built my hope on him, there's things right now that will be very difficult for me. Because I've gone through situations where I've actually said to myself, I wish he was around. I wish he was around, because he would have helped me, because I have reached at my end. But now my hope is built on something greater. My hope is built in the promises that God has given us through his word. And through that, I'm able to overcome situations. I'm able to go through situations without much of a worry, without much of being shaken up. I can overcome because I know at the end of the day, at the end of it all, it's not just light at the end of the tunnel. I shall be thriving. I shall be excelling. Nothing is permanent. Not my pain. Nothing is permanent. Not my sicknesses. Nothing is permanent. Not the poverty that has existed before. Nothing is permanent. I tell you, nothing is permanent. Not even the hard times you are going through. Not even the rough, and it's a rough patch, because it's not a life situation. It's not a hard life situation. It's not a rough life situation. It's a rough patch for a reason, because at the end of the day, it comes to an end. Nothing is permanent. The only thing that has outlasted everything, now as we are speaking, the only thing that has outlasted everything, no matter how much people fight against it, is the word of God. So let us put our hope in that. Do not be part of the statistics. Be like Fiona. Be like this woman who continued searching for the one thing she knew was possible for her. And that was her healing. That was her healing. She remained hopeful until she encountered Jesus. We already know where the solution of our lives is. You don't have to waste all your time and all your wealth pursuing things of this world that are, solutions from the things of this world that will not amount to anything. You already know to take all your problems at the feet of Jesus Christ. You already know that. So skip all the other steps and go straight to him. Now, that being said, I pray for you and for myself that we continue to maintain the hope that we have in us, that our futures shall be better. I want you to understand something. Hope is for tomorrow. That is very important for you to understand. Hope is for tomorrow. Faith is for now. Faith is for now because it helps us take steps. And love is for always. Hope is for tomorrow. It helps us see the future. Faith is for now. It helps us take the necessary actions to get our lives to where we want them to be. And love is for always. God bless you and have a wonderful and a blessed time. Thank you.